Welcome to She Built That with Julie Nichols, where I interview female founders about their journey to business success. Today, my guest is Modupe Sobo, a family law attorney with over 25 years of experience. Her practice focuses on helping navigate the often emotional turmoil of going through a divorce, as well as representing unmarried parents. She handles all matters related to divorces and parentage cases, including child support and child custody, as well as division of assets and debts. Modupe, welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you for having me, Julie. I am so glad we are finally able to do this.
I know. And everybody at home, so her name is Modupe, but she goes by Dupe. And so that's what I'm going to be calling her because it's just, we're good friends now at this point. And yes, I totally second what you just said because we've rescheduled this interview so many times because we just have a few things going on in our lives. And one of those things is that, full disclosure, Dupe is my divorce attorney. Woo! And we are in the thick of it right now, y'all. But it's going great. And I couldn't be happier with my choice to work with you. Oh. And so let's just put that out on the table. And I know you don't have to pretend like you didn't know that I was going to, that's true. Come on, give me a break. You're so cute though. I love that. So Dupe,
thank you.
Please tell us a little bit about yourself and your business.
Sure. So I was born and raised in London, England, but I have been here for
Where's here?
30. Here is in Chicago.
There we go.
30 years. So quite a while, probably longer than I've been in London. Definitely longer, yes. So in any event, I am a divorce attorney, as you've said. I have been working for myself most of the entire time that I have been a lawyer. So as you said, over 25 years. I am married and I have a teenage son who keeps me very busy because he is very sporty, very active.
That is awesome. And I want to congratulate you for officially being like a real Chicagoan now. I mean, if you've lived here longer than anywhere else, I think you can officially say that. Because I mean, I feel like that's a big deal. Like people who live in Chicago and have been here a long time, we have a chip on our shoulder about that, I think.
Yeah.
So I think it's official. You're a Chicagoan.
Thank you.
And I would love to go back in time and hear about how this all started. So I want to hear about you passed the bar and you were starting out and where did you get the balls to just be like, I'm just going to do this on my own. I am not joining a firm. I am not working with anybody else. I'm just going to do this. Like, how old were you and how did you make that decision?
Yeah, I'm actually going to go back just a little bit further, if you don't mind.
Do it.
About my journey from England to Chicago.
Ooh, I love it.
I remember being in England. I have a law degree from England. It's called LLB, Honors, Bachelor's of Law. So you can actually do a law degree in undergrad. So I got that and I was looking around at my options and I just kind of decided, you know what? I want to come to America. It's the land of opportunities. I'm going to go ahead and apply, take the LSAT. If I pass, I'll apply and see what happens. So, of course, took the LSAT, somehow got a decent enough score. Actually got 2 offers for law school, John Marshall and Chicago Kent. I went there. And because I have a Bachelor of Laws, they actually gave me a year off law school, which was great. I didn't ask for it. I was actually just told, hey, I began to notice that some of the subjects were similar because, of course, American law is based on UK law. So they said, because you've got these subjects, which, of course, now I can't remember what they are, but because you've already taken them, we'll give you a year off. So that was great. I actually ended up spreading it out instead of, 2 years? I did it or 3 years. I did it in 2.5. I could have done it in 2 years or whatever it is. I ended up spreading it out. And so I just reduced it by 6 months. So I graduated from law school and actually got my very first job working for a personal injury attorney, which was not fun. Hated it. He was a screamer. I did not have a passion for personal injury defense. So I lasted maybe 6 months. And for the first time in my life, I actually quit a job without having a job to go to. So it was very, very scary. Like, oh my God, how am I going to pay the bills? What am I doing? Blah, blah, blah.
That's how you know it's really bad.
Yeah, exactly. It was really bad. So I was trying to figure out what I was going to do. Someone referred me, not someone actually, the godfather of my son, as it turns out. He referred me to two attorneys, two African American male attorneys who were doing their own thing. They had a practice together in Chicago. So I went to them and I said, hey, I'm looking for a job, but while I'm looking for one, is it okay if I kind of set up my own shingle, maybe work for you guys for a bit and, see how it goes? And they said, sure. They did not hesitate. They welcomed me in. They provided me with support, advice, mentorship, if you will. And, in the meantime, I was looking a little bit for jobs, but as I was looking, I was realizing, the jobs out here aren't really paying very well. And in the meantime, I was beginning to get clients slowly but surely. I was learning from them. So just kind of organically, I just kind of ended up working for myself. Now, I will say my client base was from a referral service, which is um, essentially a company that's what they do is they have clients and they refer them out to lawyers. So I was getting cases from one major referral service who sent me a bunch of cases. And I can only assume that they did that because I was doing a good job, right? You're not going to get cases if you're doing a lousy job. So they would just send me a ton of cases and I was just super busy. But I do remember in the early days, and I will never forget this, and I think this is important because it's what keeps me humble. It's what keeps me grounded. I remember literally staring at my phone, waiting for it to ring. That's how, slow business was or how bad business was, literally staring at it. And again, I appreciate, even though those were difficult times, I appreciate them because it keeps me grounded. It reminds me that nothing is guaranteed. No matter how successful you can become, there still may become a time when business may be slow. And I have had bumps in the road, but throughout it all, I mean, ever since I went into practice alongside these two men, and I was always doing my own thing, but they were like my big brothers, I call them. They were there. They were in the office with me for a period of time until eventually they went off to do their own thing. And I will say one of them became a judge, another one became a notable politician. And I've remained great friends with them, and they have remained great mentors to me. So I think I was lucky that I was able to meet with them and connect with them very early on, and I guess in all of our careers, although of course they were practicing more. But the ability to remember how it was starting out has been useful for me because, as I said, I stay grounded and I appreciate all that life can throw at you, that it's not all, roses. There can be hard times. And I think it also makes me more, what's the word, more approachable and understanding with my clients who are often going through difficult times. Although, I haven't necessarily gone through their journey, I know what it's like to struggle, but still come through on the other side.
Now, let me ask you, your specialty is, divorce law. Is that what you knew you wanted to do at the start? Or how did you come to that conclusion?
Yeah, that is a really good question, Julie. So as I said, let me back up. So in law school, I took family law and I loved it. I loved the professor. In fact, about a year or two ago, I was looking for a law clerk and I reached out to her and I said, I don't know if you remember me, because of course now we're talking of 20 plus years, right? And I said, I don't know if you remember me, but I was wondering if any of your students would be interested in clerking for me. And of course she said, of course I remember you. You are amazing. You're one of my star students. And of course I was like, oh my gosh, she remembers me?
Dupe, of course she remembers you. I don't know why this is a surprise. How could anyone forget you? You're so unique.
I know, on so many levels. I know, but I'm still, and again,
I love that you're that humble though.
Yeah,
but that's
exactly.
cute. Again, it's cute that you think that you're forgettable.
Yeah.
Because that's ridiculous.
I guess I was going to say, I wouldn't say I was forgettable, but I guess I am. That's what I'm saying, right? How does she remember me? But, oh, I hear a dog barking. My cat may be around.
It's
soon.
mine. We're just gonna let her bark at somebody probably okay. Parking outside my house. She has to, she's like the parking attendant outside. She's always yelling at people.
That's wonderful.
I know. Well, it keeps away the riffraff, so.
Yeah, even better. So anyway, yes, I remember when I took that family law course, I enjoyed it. It was one of the very few subjects or classes that I took in law school that I actually enjoyed. Of course, it helped that I liked the professor too. So I kind of had an inkling there. And actually, as I think about it, I took family law in England as well. And I remember being intrigued by that as well. So way back when, I always felt like I was interested in it because, in a weird kind of way, I like hearing people's problems. I like solving their problems. I like helping them through their problems. So I kind of carried that with me. But as I said earlier, my first job was as a personal injury defense attorney. And within a few weeks or a few months, I quickly realized this was not for me. I remember, not just in the law firm, which of course I didn't care for, but just like looking around at the lawyers and the judges in this area and just thinking, yeah, I don't get an oomph. I mean, I don't really care about cars being bashed into, rear end collisions or what have you. It doesn't do a whole lot for me. Yes, I'm going to represent my client, but it's not getting me fired up. But I realized when I began to touch on cases dealing with family law, and at the beginning of my career, I was doing DUIs, a little bit of criminal defense. I did the personal injury on my own. So I was doing a little bit of other areas, but family law interested me because you're dealing with people and you're dealing with their lives. And to me, real issues, emotional issues. And again, in a weird kind of way, it's like, and I think about that sometimes, like, really, why would I want to go into this area where it's really emotional, heavily emotional? And quite honestly, at the beginning of my career, it took a toll on me. I would bring people's problems home with me. I would be awake at, midnight, 1 o'clock, thinking about how can I help this person. And it was over, I would say it may have taken me upwards of 10 years to really figure out how to separate people's problems and not take them home with me. I remember crying in court over cases. I remember I had one case where this guy was accused of sexually abusing his children.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
I knew that he hadn't done it, not just because he was my client, but all the evidence. It was very clear. And we ended up, of course, if you like, winning, although I don't like to use that word in the family law, winning cases, because it isn't about winning. It's about, getting what's fair for everyone. But in any event, we ended up winning in that the judge didn't believe that my client had sexually abused the children. But as I was doing the closing arguments, and I can remember, and this has been 15 years now, I remember doing it, and I remember breaking down as I was talking about how this guy had been deprived of seeing his children because of these allegations that the mother had made against him. And I remember recognizing that I was breaking down because the judge who had been writing notes as I was, arguing at the end, looked up at me. And this is a judge that I'd known, and she knows me, and she looked up, and I realized, oh my gosh, I'm really, taking this to heart. But again, we won. But I also realized that in some regards, being emotional isn't good for me, of course. But it may not also be good for my clients. But then on the flip side, I think that's what draws people to me, because they see that I am sincere, that I am genuine, that I truly care about their case, and I'm not just, doing a stump speech. If I take on a client, I really see my role as helping them move through the process. But I've now learned how to separate that. I can still be there. I can still be your person. I can still tell you this is what's best for you. I can still advocate for you. I can still encourage you to do things that maybe you might not have even thought of. And I will go toe to toe with the other attorney, even with the judge. But there is a line, right? I will do it, but especially now that I'm married and I have a child, I think that also helps to provide boundaries and balance. So it's a process learning that. But again, I think because I do genuinely care about my clients and about people, that's why I'm drawn to dealing with these very deeply personal cases and information. And yeah, I was thinking about that this morning. Like, my clients have to trust me because I'm going to see every single part of them. I'm going to see how much they really make, not what they present to the world, but what they really make. I'm going to see, what kind of parent they are. I'm going to see what kind of person they are, whether they like it or not, because guess what? I need to know all of this so that I can do my job. So hiding it from me is a disservice to you. And I think people recognize that from the get-go, and that's why they come to me and trust me with all their personal, private, confidential information.
Yeah, it's
Right.
when you start going through the divorce process, you quickly realize like, oh, like now the skeletons are coming out of the closet, and the person that's going to be on my team, I want that person I want to feel confident that not only are they going to take care of me, but that I feel comfortable opening up to them. And that's how I felt about you. You know, I mean, clearly you're an incredible speaker. I mean, you just answered like 5 of my questions as I'm listening to you, and I'm like, oh, I'm going to ask her this next. And then you just went ahead and answered it. And I was like, oh, okay. So if you're not already doing public speaking, Dupe, put that on your list, because you should be. But I mean, clearly you're very, you know, you're a litigator, like, you know how to present, you know how to talk. But I think what I want to know then is that, you know, you said that it was, you had to learn how to kind of separate the emotion. Is that just like time? You just needed time in order to kind of naturally figure that out? Or were there any kind of tricks that you've learned?
Yeah, I think it was time, because it's easy to say, okay, that's it, it's 5 o'clock, end of, now I'm going to switch, right? But it's hard to switch your brain when you have been so engrossed in someone's case, in what they are going through. And, you know, you may know that they are struggling, you know, financially, emotionally. It's hard to switch that off. But I think over time, I began to realize, number one, it's like the airplane rule, right? You can't take care of anyone until you take care of yourself, right? That's, yeah, exactly.
I just made the oxygen mask sign.
Yes. Exactly.
Put on your oxygen mask before you put on your child.
Yeah. And I've had to say that over and over again, remind myself over the years. But yeah, I had to, number one, realize I need to take care of myself. It's affecting me if I'm in tears before a judge. That's a problem. It's affecting me if I'm waking up at 1 o'clock in the morning thinking about someone's case when I should be sleeping. That's a problem. I need to be fresh. So I need to figure out how to do that. And then once I figure out how to do that for myself, I can then figure out how to be a better attorney for my clients with that balance. So I think that took time, and that took experience as well. Just learning that, okay, this is not a good fit for me. And am I really helping the client in the best way? I mean, and it may look like telling the client, okay, you know, don't call me after 5. Don't call me on the weekends. And in the beginning, I had to say that. But now I've learned I don't even have to say that. Guess what? I just don't pick up the phone. And so clients know that. If they call me at 8 o'clock, guess what? It's not going to be picked up, because I don't start till 9. Now, of course, there are exceptions, but, you know, in the past, I may well have had those conversations late into the night on the weekend. But now, over time, I've realized, no, you know, after a certain time and on the weekends, that is for me and my family. And unless, you know, the client is in some kind of dire straits, that's the way it's going to be. But I've got to set their expectations. I feel
like this is a topic that is so important, establishing your boundaries and protecting your time. Both, especially, you know, as a business owner, I think every business owner struggles with that, period, whether, you know, no matter what kind of work they do, especially women. Because we are being pulled in so many different directions, and that protecting your time is so important to do, because guess what? Once you start protecting your time, people start respecting those boundaries.
Yes.
So for so long, I was afraid to set those boundaries because I didn't want people to be upset with me. I'm working on this in therapy, everyone. People would be upset with me that I wasn't available enough. But guess what? If you actually set those boundaries and you're clear about them, people know how to play the game. They know, like, oh, okay, that's their boundaries. Now I'll know how to work within those boundaries.
Yes.
And it was just so freeing once I figured out how to do that. And I still struggle with it, but, you know, I have this Post-it that's on my desk that says protect your time.
Yes, love it. Woo!
I look at it every day. And it's, thank God I have that Post-it to remind me, because I'm so bad at that. But I've gotten a lot better. And like I said, you know, over time, like you mentioned, I'm curious, you know, so, you know, you've been doing this for a very long time. You know, you get referrals from this service, and then, you know, referrals come in over time, I'm sure, from people you've worked with and all that kind of stuff. Did you ever expand? Did you ever bring on other employees? And what did that look like? How did you know when it was time to do that?
So first, I would say I no longer use that service that I mentioned that I
Okay.
used when I first started. That service kind of went away. And actually, it's interesting because when it kind of went away, I do remember being concerned about, oh my God, how am I going to get my clients
So
now?
it stopped existing, or you chose not to use
Yeah,
it?
it was a firm that ran it, and then they decided to go in-house more rather than referring it out to other attorneys.
Okay.
So luckily, I kind of got a heads up. But again, I do remember thinking, how am I going to continue to practice? Because they were a major source of referrals. But again, it's just, well, you know, I wouldn't say that I'm a hugely religious person, but I do believe in God. I'm a Christian. So God carried me through it on the days or the weeks or the months or the years when I was worried about, am I going to get any clients now that I no longer have this referral service? He showed up and he showed out. I continue to get referrals. And my favorite kind of referrals are referrals from current or former clients. I prefer them than just a dry, whatever, cold calling, dry Google search, because those kind of referrals, they know who I am because whoever referred them to me has told them about me. So their expectations have been set. They know what to expect. And so to me, it's easy. I don't have to say too much. One of the things that I have found and I love is when I speak to people in the initial conversation, a common response that I get during or after the consultation is, oh, I feel so much better now after I've spoken with you. Before COVID, it was after I met with you, but now it's after I've spoken with you. And I love that because, again, especially now since COVID, where most of the time I'm meeting my clients over the phone, all they are getting is my voice. They're only hearing my voice. So whatever they're getting is getting on what I'm saying to them and the tone that I'm using. So the ability to relay the trust, as you mentioned earlier, over the phone, for them to actually feel it, is huge for me. And again, I think it's because it comes across to them that I am sincere and that I really have their best interest at heart. But actually, going back, I think I strayed off, Julie. What was your
Yeah.
question?
So, yeah, no. So, did you bring on any additional employees? Did
Right.
you expand your business at all, or did you choose to keep it to just you? And what was that thought process?
Right. So I didn't, the employees that I brought on were law clerks, paralegals. Those are who I brought on. And I got them, as I said earlier, by reaching out to law schools, like my old family law professor. So I would reach out to law schools to do that. And I did that deliberately because I remember, again, it's like I remember pivotal parts in my life and what brought me to where I am. So I remember being a law student, applying to be a law clerk at firms, and I remember the opportunities that I got, the experience that I learned. And so I want to do the same thing with
Oh,
law students. And so I do that. And yes, I know some lawyers say, it's a pain to hire law students or even paralegals because you have to it takes you twice as long, if not three times, to teach them how to do it, how to do the work that you want to do, whereas it might be quicker for you to do yourself. And there's definitely some truth to that. But again, I just remember how it was for me. I needed a job, I needed the experience. And so my law students, when I have them, I expose them to as much as I can. Because it's just me, they're going to do everything. They're going to, talk to clients. I will even bring them to court, introduce them to judges. I've had them sit in the chambers with me and watch as me and the other attorney go back and forth, or me and the judge go back and forth. I do all of that. And in fact, and this may be a little bit straight off topic, but I think again, it speaks to who I am and the relationships I develop. This year, one of my former law clerks reached out to me because she was applying to be a judge, and she wasn't reaching out necessarily as a reference, even though she put me down, but she was reaching out to let me know that she'd never forgotten. Not only had she never forgotten me, but she wanted to tell me that she'd paid it forward. That she remembered the exposure that I gave her, and she eventually got a job when she left me. But she said that she also mentors. She now mentors high school kids and law school students, and she never forgot that. And so she wanted to thank me, and I just remember again feeling like, oh my God, I had no idea. I was just doing my job. I was just trying to expose her to as much as possible and not knowing that she had paid it forward. She's now mentoring, and I would not be surprised if I see her on the bench. So she's going to go even further, but she's still not going to forget those who are trying to do what she's doing, those who are looking for, careers and looking for inspiration. I was just like, if it's just that one student that I did it to, then I've done my job.
You make me want to go and mentor somebody now.
Do it.
I mean, talk about being the change you wish to see in the world. One of my favorite quotes, like, you walk the walk, like you were out there mentoring people because that's what you would want for, your past self. And then that one of those people then is now doing it because of you. So, I mean, you are incredible. I mean, that's just, I love that story because that just goes to show you, like, you set a precedent. You set, like, this is how it should be. We should be helping to raise the next generation of attorneys, and how important that was to you. And that really rubbed off on her. So that's incredible. I want to pivot a little bit because, you are Black, you are a woman, you have faced a lot more than a lot of us have. And I would love to hear from you how your nationality, how your race, your gender, how all of those things shaped who you are today and how maybe they have been a challenge. I'd like to hear your perspective.
Absolutely. But first, again, I want to pivot just a little bit back. So I was a member, and when COVID happened, all kinds of things changed and what have you. So I need to renew my membership. But I was a member for quite a while. I was on the board for a period of time with the Black Women Lawyers Association.
Oh.
And one of the slogans or phrases that we had in that association was lifting up as we climb. And so it kind of goes to what we were just talking about. As we are climbing in our careers, we have to remember to lift up those who are coming behind us. And I remember when I saw that, I remember thinking, yes, that's exactly what I want to do. I want to lift up, high school students, law school students, young lawyers. I want to lift them up as I am myself climbing. So again, that goes to mentorship and just helping people come along. Just because you're doing your journey doesn't mean you can't help people along theirs as well. But getting back to your question about being a Black woman lawyer, yes, I have faced a lot of discrimination. I think one of the interesting things is because I come from England and I have a slightly noticeable, distinguishable accent.
What? I don't know what you're talking about.
I think that has helped me. But that being said, people still see race and gender, right? And because it's so entrenched and so prejudicial, that has only helped me to a point. I've still been discriminated against, but I'm also aware that I may have gotten a few more things than other Black women, American attorneys, because of my accent. So people may have, changed a little bit about how they approach me because of my accent. But again, it doesn't mean that I wasn't discriminated. So examples of that, I was thinking about this morning. And again, this came from, I remember discussing this, of course, in the Black Women Lawyers Association about us being invisible in the courtroom. And again, I remember thinking that is so true. And what that looks like is I can be before the bench. And this happened more so earlier in my career. So I could be before the bench. I could have my opposing counsel, who oftentimes was white male, but they could have been white female. But when I think about this example, I think about a white male opposing counsel, a white male judge. They will have conversations back and forth about the case. I will then attempt to make my argument, and the judge will all but ignore me. The attorney may also ignore me. He may have ignored me throughout the case. He may have looked down on me. And now here I am trying to represent my client, and I have the judge, who ultimately is going to be the one deciding the case, also ignoring me. And that's a hard thing to overcome. And I won't lie, there have been times over the years when I have felt that because of my race and my gender, that I have provided a disservice to my clients. I have felt that, maybe if they had had even a white woman, let alone a white man, and maybe they would have gotten, a better result from their case. But at the end of the day, you do what you do. You present the law. And if the judge decides that they don't want to, side with you based on, a prejudicial issue or a racism issue, that is not my fault. There is nothing I can do about that. All I can do is make the argument. And I have found that my clients, when I have turned back to them, they have been so grateful that I did what I did. Because again, yes, I guess they could have gone to a white male attorney, but there was a reason why they came to me. They knew that I was Black. They knew that I was female, but they still came to me There's a reason why they paid me the money that they paid me. And so long as I am fighting for them, that's what counts. So yeah, I've experienced discrimination there, and it's been, there's actually a scene, I don't know, I think it was it The Rainmaker, the one with Matt Damon and Mickey Rooney? There's a scene where, and ironic, no, it was the original judge. The attorneys are in chambers, and you can tell that Mickey Rooney, no, the other attorney, I forget who he's played by, but John Voight. John Voight. He was the one who led that huge law. Yes, love him. You could tell he had a relationship with the judge, and the judge gets up when Matt Damon goes into the chambers with John Voight. He gets up, uses the bathroom, comes out, and he's chit-chatting with John Voight and basically ignoring Matt Damon. And I'm thinking, I remember that happening to me in chambers. I could see the judge and the attorney going back and forth. I would try and chime in to make my case, completely ignored.
You know, My Cousin Vinny is another perfect example.
Yes, exactly.
That's more my kind of like lawyer movie.
I love that.
You said too. Rainmaker, and I was like, Rainmaker. I know that exists. Never seen it, but really more of a,
My Cousin Vinny. Yes. My Cousin Vinny, yeah, love that. Joe Pesci. And
Marissa Tomei.
Yes.
She won the Oscar for that.
She should have. She was amazing.
She was. My biological clock is ticking like this.
You are so good. You missed your calling as an actress.
Oh, right. That theater degree up on the wall right there is crying right now. Did you not know? Did you not know I was an actor?
No, I knew you were like a stand-up or something. You did that on the side? Or...
No, I was a musical theater actor for 10 years.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, my God, Dupe. I think I need my own episode where you interview me.
Oh, yeah.
And then
I'd love to. You have no idea, Julie. I would love to. I think you're so
flip
fascinating.
The script. Yeah. It'll be a special edition.
On one condition, I get that microphone.
We might have to switch houses, so you can come here and be me, and then I'll go to your house.
Yeah.
Our time is. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, it's up. Oh gosh.
I know.
Right out. I wanted to say real quick. Another example of discrimination is going into a courtroom and being stopped by sheriff. Of course, a sheriff saying, "Where are you going?" Basically, have a seat, and I'm having to say, "No, I'm actually an attorney. I'm going up to check in with the clerk, and then I'm going to sit where all the other attorneys." That has happened often, but I will say, over time, we talked about time at the beginning of our conversation. I have found over time less and less, in part because I've actually been practicing longer than the judges half the time I've been on the bench. There's a lot of new judges. So experience does come, and age and gray hairs does ultimately count for something.
My final question is, how do you hope your work will impact the next generation of female attorneys?
Yeah, that's a tricky one. I think really what I've been saying before, just remembering that it's not just your journey, that it's the people who are behind you that you also need to think about. And, just being aware that whatever you do has an impact, especially in family law. It impacts people's lives. So being aware of that and being grounded and being real and really taking each case individually, seeing it as an individual case, an individual person, an individual family. I hope that will impact attorneys to recognize that it's not just a case number, it's people's lives that are at stake. And so we need to honor it and respect it accordingly.
Dupe, you've been an absolute dream as a guest. I've barely had to ask any questions. So I'm thinking you're ready for your own podcast, and we're going to start producing it tomorrow. And it's going to be called All About Divorce starring Dupe Sobo. So I'm sorry, but I would listen to the hell out of that podcast. So thank you so much for your time. I know it is very valuable. I can't talk. And just how can people find you?
Okay, so my website is www.modupesobolaw.com. My phone number is 312-427-1100.
Ooh, that's a good number.
Yeah.
All right. So give her a call. Check out her website. And Dupe, thank you so much for being here. I really, truly appreciate you. And I look forward to working with you, more and referring you to everybody I know. Everybody call Dupe. Are you only licensed in the state of Illinois to do law?
Correct.
Okay. So if you live in Illinois, check her out. Dupe, thank you again for being here. And thank you all for listening. This is She Built That with Julie Nichols. I'm Julie Nichols, and I'm a marketer for small businesses. So if you need some help getting your business noticed out there online and IRL, in real life, as the kids say, give me a call, or rather, go to my website. My website is julienicholsmarketing.com. That's NICHOLS marketing.com. And thanks for listening. We'll see you next time.